Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 793 of the Trinity Force Podcast. I am, as always, your host, N.A. Eric, and I have John and Bomo here tonight, and we will be talking about a few different things, some controversies or controversies, as well as a little bit of ranked since that started, and some 80 carry updates as well that will hopefully be going live next patch, which if they do, you will hear about it from us in the next episode in a deeper dive. But before we get into business, as always, gents, let's catch up and see how everyone's doing. Bomo, how is your face feeling, man?
It's a lot better. I think it's pretty much all healed. I think I just have a little bit left on my lip area, but that's because I keep eating, and so it doesn't have a lot of time to heal, actually, because it keeps opening up the wound again. But it's a little annoying, but we're getting there.
Gotta keep
That's it for my
that.
face.
You
Yeah,
gotta keep eating.
Should stop
Yeah.
eating and then you'll heal. Just stop eating. That's
I mean,
yeah.
it doesn't hurt if I open my mouth like this small, like. But anything bigger than that, it it kind of hurts. And for people who don't watch this, I kind of just made a little O with my mouth. I realized that was probably a weird thing to talk about in the podcast. But yeah, pretty much all healed except for my little side. Is it crease on the mouth or whatever is this connecting part of the lips between the top and bottom, that little area?
Crease
Who knows
sounds
what
good to
that's
me.
called?
I don't know the technical term
Oh,
at all.
that is that's your commissure there.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. What from the dentist? That is a commissure. Is that what that is? Did you say?
Commissure, yeah.
Commissure, yeah. So that's recovering, but everything else is pretty much all fully healed. So it's just this commissure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nice. Well, glad to hear it. How's you've also played your ranked stuff. How's that been going, man?
My ranked has been okay. So I had 2 games with AFKs. So I mean that's kind of it's bound to happen, right? The more you play, but I'm right now gold 370 LP out of placements. So not too bad of a start, considering I was like plat 4, like 0 LP during the reset. So I played a lot in the preseason. Actually, I played like 40 some ranked games in the preseason to just like work on my 2 champions I'm going to be climbing with for right now, and then just looking at different matchups and whatnot. And so just to keep me loose, I guess, because if you don't play for a bit and you come back, then you kind of forget a lot of things. So it's just use the preseason to keep my hands pretty warm. So when I jump into ranked, I don't have to remember how to play them. I already have it knocked down. So not too bad, considering the 2 AFKs. But we definitely threw 2 games too. So I think I ended like 4-6, and I think besides those 2 AFKs, I could have won the other 2. But it's hard, when you have just the endless rolling of like inting. Where your entire team just kind of runs in one at a time and everyone tries to salvage it, and then it just keeps rolling and you can't do anything to stop it. So
Snowballing disaster.
yeah. So I had 2 of those games where we were up. I saw the gold graph, 12k gold in like 15 minutes, and we lost because we just were running it down. I don't know like how to even stop like what happened, but yeah, it was it was a tragedy. We're just seeing this happen to my game, but you live and learn. So hopefully it's a learning experience.
I feel like it's the everyday tragedy that happens on the Rift to everybody.
Exactly.
It happens every once in a while.
Yeah, but that just goes to show don't forfeit 15, because you could be on the enemy team on my game and you could probably win that game. So There's a little tip for you.
Yeah, they give a fat 700 gold shutdown to your AD carry or something to your Twitch,
Oh
and then
man.
they start running it down. Yeah, I feel like that's just like the classic. Like I don't know. I feel like the more I play, I feel like the more I realize it's true. It's like when your team is doing like that, like the enemy team is just as likely to do something
Mhm.
to throw to. So it's
Yeah.
definitely worth staying in it. If like unless there's just like three people just straight up running it down. But yeah, I feel like there has been a lot of in my experience too, like in the little bit of that I've played of the new season.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I mean definitely a couple games like that where like people just like something bad happens and then someone tries to salvage it and then they die and then someone else tries to salvage it and they die. It just becomes a whole thing.
Yeah, I actually prefer games that are closer than just early game stomps. I feel like it happens every time with an early game stomp where people just forget how to actually play League and they think, "Oh, I'm so fed, I can do anything I want," and then it's just bad. And so I actually hate like super early game heavy leads. I'd rather be somewhat close and have a slight advantage than just like be completely out of control. Because I realize myself included, I don't really know what to do when I'm so fed. And I've taken mid tower and it's even before like 10 minutes. I can rotate to other lanes, but all of their towers are gone too. So you're trying to crack the secondary turrets at like 12, 13 minutes of the game and no one has any ward placements in the enemy jungle, so everyone just keeps getting collapsed one at a time, and they think they can outplay it because they're so fed, but it's it's brutal.
Yeah, times like those are when you really like practice and learn your macro because yes, you have the gold advantage. So then you learn, oh, I need to, we just set up traps in the jungle and wait, and you take the enemy's camps, and then you let one your as you're coming out of base, you take your own camps and then just advance back up the rift. That's or down, depending on if you're red or blue side. Yeah, that's the sort of those are the times when you can actually like learn and grow from your macro. But if you're like you said, if you're like 12k ahead at 15, there's uh there's not anywhere near as much personal growth. That's what compared to a super close game. I far prefer close games as well. Because even if you win if you win something that's you're super far ahead, super early, um, it's not as fun. Even like okay, it's cool. You got to win. It's not bad, but it's just nowhere near as fun. Even if you were to play a close game and lose, even I find I have more fun with those games and the stomps. But being on the other end, like on the receiving end of a stomp, I'm almost always like, okay, just fucking wash because I don't trust my teammates to understand how to have macro and come back in games, and they probably don't trust me to have the same thing either. So I'm just like, okay, fuck it, let's just go to a. I'm fine to run it back. Although that is, as you guys said, that is not the optimal strategy for if you're trying to climb as much and for if you're trying to grow as much of a player. And I recognize that. That's fine. Yeah. Cool. Well, hopefully your climb continues to or gets a little bit better than going 4 and 6. Otherwise, the climb will stall pretty quickly, Bomo. But yeah. And by the way, which two? You said you're going with two champs. Remind us which two champions you're going with.
I'm playing Yone and Diana mid, so those are the two champs right now. Depending on maybe how the meta shakes up in the next couple patches, I personally think that Roa is really good. Um, Based on this new patch that just went down. So I might pick up a Roa champion if it stays strong next couple patches and then just incorporate a third champion. But I think I'm gonna stick to two primaries and then like have a third one with the potential fourth one rotate in and out based on like how my two main champions are doing and what I find lacking in my champion pool.
Sure. Any of those champions you're considering, are they any of them ranged, or are you allergic to playing ranged champions?
Like, are we talking the rapid fire rise roa strat going around here?
I played actually a lot of range champions last year. So my most played champions were Vex, Victor, Diana Yone, and Azir last season. So I did play a lot of range, but I don't like the way a lot of mages play. I like to play quicker games, and a lot of mages like things slightly slower, gameplay wise in the mid lane. And so maybe I want to try to find like a range champion that can play a little quicker. I know Victor plays pretty quickly, but I just end up feeding because I play way
Dude,
too fast. And so I'm really good at stalling out games when I play it, but I just don't find that type of play style fun for me. I can just concede the wave and farm what I can, and then just look to scale. But
What
I
about
think for
Lysandra? Have you thought of Lysandra at all?
not really. I played her a lot when she first came out, what season 2, season 3, but I don't know. I'll have to find something. I want to build Roa and Seraphs, so I'm thinking Rise or Kassadin, but again, Kassadin's a melee champion, so maybe maybe
Talia?
maybe
Rise.
maybe. I was thinking also Cassiopeia too for like a ranged champion because it kind of fits with my style of playing faster and like not too scale oriented. And she can dish out a lot of damage too. So we'll see. We'll have to see. But I just want to build Roa on everything right now. And I've been
Do you
trying
like
out some Diana Roa builds. So.
yeah. Do you like stuff where you have to like click around a lot? Like that, like mechanically intent like Cassiopeia I feel like is like that. She I feel like plays more like a she's like a mage AD
Like an
carry kind
AD
of
carry
like
battle mage type of
yeah, because
play
she's pretty
style for
short
sure. Yeah.
range and she's
Hmm.
like if you can hit the Qs and you're good at the really it's just a
And
matter of getting
spam
the timing
conquer.
down with her
Yeah.
E, yeah, and stacking knowing how to stack conquer with her
Hmm.
well and then using her W
Yeah.
flash or her R flash is important.
Yeah, I spammed a
So
lot of Cass last preseason, and then just dropped her when the season started because I felt like the meta wasn't really suited for her. So I might pick her up again, but I played like I don't know, like 30 some games of her last preseason, so I have a
have you
pretty
tried
good
Rumble?
understanding. Rumble, I might try Rumble, but again,
Yeah, give her I love Rumble.
can I build
He's one
Roa though?
You don't need
man.
to. Rumble has some of the highest AP
Yeah, I
ratio
mean,
scalings in the game.
he just does so much damage. You don't need
So
it.
Proto Belt,
I
Yeah,
mean,
or
for
some
good.
people go
Harvester,
Night
Night
Yeah,
Harvester.
Night
Harvester, yeah.
Harvester, and also Night Harvester is like pretty good at night right now.
I really like Rumble, but after the Leandry change, I kind of just stopped playing him because I want like I want the double burn with the flame spitter and the burn item. But I might try to work on some demonic build maybe with like heart or something on Rumble. But
You could
though
just go
we'll see.
I mean, if they have like a tank, like really tanky team, you could do Leandry's demonic
Mhm.
on him is pretty
Yeah.
it's fine. Then go like or dude, you could even go proto build
Hmm.
demonic and you'll be pretty tanky.
Yeah.
Really, if you just go to Dark Seal, like Eric was saying, like he does a lot of damage. His AP
Oh,
scalings are
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
If
We'll
you know
have
how
to
to,
see.
yeah,
But yeah,
Swain
right now
is
it's
another one
sticking
I
to.
would say
Mhm.
maybe try because Swain has so much build diversity that people don't tap
Yeah.
into at all.
I played it. I played a lot of Swain in my competitive team last season. So maybe Swain, especially with the Roa. Maybe yeah, I think maybe Swain. So we'll have to see. But I'm gonna stick with Diana and Yone for a bit until I get to about gold 1, and then I'll probably start looking for a third champion when I like start getting to platinum. And then yeah, and then look to climb with a small champion pool. So my
Nice.
goal is to have less than 10 champions played in solo queue in terms of like the number of champions played. Those stats.
Okay.
I want to have more games with less champions, essentially. Because if you look at my prior seasons, it's pretty bad. Like some seasons, I played on average like one champion on one game. That's how few solo queue games I played, and like how many different champions I played. So
Yeah.
we're looking to kind of just hone in on a few champions.
But to be fair, haven't the last I mean, I know last season was you were kind of hamstrung. I don't know about the previous season because you could only play so many games in order to actually because if you played too many and won too many, you would have gotten too high to be in the league that you were in, right? So now you don't have that restriction, which is actually nice. It allows you to play a lot more games on a more focused set of champs too, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping for. Just honing everything on a smaller champion pool and just playing as well as I can and just seeing if I get stalled mid plat and I'm not really improving, I'll probably look to play like competitive again. But right now, I just wanted to see, and then we'll use that as a baseline. So I'll check back in at the end of the first ranked split of 2023.
Cool. Cool. Well, we will keep an update on that. But sweet, good luck to you, Bomo. John, how have you been, man? Have you played ranked at all yet?
Not very much ranked. I played a good bit of preseason. Um, I played a couple games on one of my Smurfs. Only 2 games though of in like the since the season's dropped, but I've been playing kind of a mixture of jungle and maybe carry. Um, so I'm pretty excited for the changes and stuff.
Yeah,
But
for
yeah, as
these
far as
for these
jungle,
for these ADC changes that we will be talking about. Yes. Yep.
yeah, as far as jungle though, I've been playing actually going back to a pick that I like kind of started in the jungle with. Been playing Warwick some.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, he feels really good.
Why do you play all the champions that I despise? Just why?
I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just it's what calls to me, Eric. But
Fucking
yeah, I
Warwick.
mean, you can do some crazy stuff with his Q. Like I've had some stuff where I've followed Shen old like I've followed like you can follow people over blast cones with Warwick Q. So we there was like one game where we just got an elder and they were trying to blast cone away 2 people and I queued one of them, followed them with like the blast cone over, and I had like E before that, so I feared them, had my ult, and got a double kill. But
Damn.
been playing him. I've been playing Graves, your other classic favorite.
Yup.
Eric loves playing against Graves.
I
He
do.
especially loves my Graves too.
Yes, I do. It's
But then,
definitely I definitely don't still ban Graves every game. That's definitely not a thing that happens.
but yeah, I've been playing that. I've been playing Wukong some. I like Wukong. Um, I wanna like just kind of learn Elise. I mean, seems really good right now, and that's like one champ that like I know everything she does, but like that's one jungler I haven't played like a ton myself. So I'd like to just get some experience on her. Um, just kind of like get a feeling for what it feels like to play that champion.
Sure.
Uh, Also, I've been playing Kindred a little bit too. She's seems pretty good, and that's been a lot of fun. Um, I had a game the other day where you can just do some like insane paths with her. Like we were blue side, and then did red, got a leash, did red, went straight to their Gromp. We were playing against a Maokai jungle. Went straight to his Gromp, killed him on his Gromp, and he flashed away also. And then I just got his wolves, got level 3. His Gromp and his wolves got level 3. Went to his top side, killed him again, and then it was just like he kind of just AFK'd after that. It was just such a rough game for him. But yeah, I mean, when you do some insanely aggressive pathing like that with like Kindred or Graves, I mean, it's just straight up game over.
I've been doing some of that with Shaco. Just start topside and clear my top three camps, or even top two or what something, and then just go right over. If I'm playing on red side, go right over to their blue buff and just wait for them with a box right there, ignite, all ready to go, and someone walks in, half health, boom, you're dead. Or at least you're flashing away, and I'm getting the camps that are left. It has not failed yet. And then also it usually pulls away the mid and top laner, and then we get some sort of a skirmish, or they at least lose minions or something. It's absurd how much now people are clearing formulaically, and maybe a lot of people are listening to that jungle camp recommendation order, because that is never telling people to go out of order or even think. It doesn't take into account, to my knowledge, who you're facing. It's just the champ you're playing. So that's something that people need to really think about, especially like junglers and other laners and such. Be aware of who you're jungling against and what they can and cannot do to you early. The invaders, like you were saying, like Elise can invade early, Kindred can absolutely invade early, Shaco invades, Nidalee invades, there's several others as well that can do it. Be aware of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, and I guess like going off that too, like I think it's I like that you picked up Shaco because that was like one character that I was like I feel like at one point like a year and a half ago or so that I was like so frustrated playing against because I like swear it was when he was like the AD Shaco was really good
Hmm.
and I was just getting so frustrated because I played it like 6 games in a row in ranked and I'm like all right I'm just gonna like learn this character right So I just played him for like 50 games straight. I mean, he's so much fun, man,
He
and
is
you can just
so much fun.
disrupt people so like and like you're saying, you can just do like absolutely cheesy, wild stuff. Like you can just go do your red buff and then just kill them on their gromp, or like do some like you were saying, go to their other opposite side buff, and then just catch them off guard there. I mean, you can the level 2 or 3 mid bot gank with him is so good. But I guess like to that too, there's like having knowledge of that and like especially like disrupting him early, I think is important. So like when I play against Jaco, if I have like a team that can like somewhat invade, like we're gonna go in there, disrupt his boxes on the Raptors or like just as many boxes as we can. And because Smite, I feel like one thing that's like underrated playing against him, like as the enemy jungler, is using Smite early, like on the boxes, because it just like one taps them, and you have like a super low cooldown on Smite early, like before minions spawn. So, so you can kind of just counter the boxes pretty easily as the jungler. But yeah, I guess just like disrupting his boxes and making it so he can't have just a easy, because his level 3 is, if he gets his setup, his level 3 is insanely fast.
Yeah, and exactly to that point, if you have a team that can do it and not sacrifice too much or whatever, at least place advanced vision down. But
Mhm.
go in, just do a delayed invade at like 120. Go in if you know where he's starting, just go in and trip the boxes, and then walk away because then he cannot, his autos do not, even if you're playing AD Shaco, he needs the boxes in order to clear. If you don't have like at least the first clear, if he doesn't have boxes set up, his clear is severely hurt, and you really don't have to worry about him early. Um,
Yeah. And the
yeah,
other thing you can do as like a mid or bot lane or as a support is like for I guess support specifically, like if you're playing against a Sheik, you can put the if he's I guess on the bot side or the blue side, you can put the like a ward in there at 123 because then that'll catch him if he's doing comes from Krugs. Um, you'll at least know he's coming, like Eric was saying. And then same thing with like mid can put one of the pixel brush at around the same time. And if he tries to gank mid, I mean you'll see it coming at the very least. So
I wouldn't recommend,
there's ways to play
as
around it.
someone who's playing it, I wouldn't recommend Pixel Brush because everyone always expects there to be wards.
The one like right behind the like where the wall is, I guess.
Oh,
Like
okay, yeah, sure.
would be a good one, I think.
Or in like just open space because like in that open space, if you're looking at like the top quadrant, in that open space where you can walk down into the river there, because he could just go, if you put it in pixel brush, if he just walks over to the wall, that thin wall, and then just queues over, you don't know that he's there at all, because a while ago they removed that you can't see the plume of smoke when he uses his Q if you're in darkness, so you can't know there. Or I really like to put ward. Let's say that I'm on blue side and Chaco's on red side. I like to put a ward in the left side, the top side river, to the left of the pixel brush, actually, so that I can see the full entrance to Baron Pit. Because I'll just queue, or Kiana as well. I like to do that as, because I can, those characters or Kindred can just hop over the wall. Graves can as well, as you know, and then just hop over the wall. You don't have to worry about walking through a brush or whatever. And if they don't have this non-traditional vision line, then you won't get spotted. So those sorts of places. And if you're on bot side, it's a little bit harder. But that big tri brush or Shaco could also usually, if you're on red side for defending bot lane, put it in the most advanced brush on the, if you can get over there without taking too much damage there as well, because then walking through those brushes and then queuing, because the queue has a, like, up until later on in the game you get revealed pretty quickly, so you really have to be able to get close enough for it to work. But there's some real crazy shit you can do with them. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, anyways, we're already 25 minutes and we haven't even started talking about shit, but I'll just go through my stuff quickly. I have not played any ranked yet, because I was busy with stuff last Wednesday when it all went live, and then Thursday I flew out to LA and I just got back today. This is Monday. I was there checking out, visiting some family and stuff like that. I might want to move there in the future, so checking out some neighborhoods, that sort of thing, but nothing firm. But yeah, so now this week I will be playing some League, and I will have more to say on my own ranked woes or successes. More likely successes. I mean, come on, I'm the host of the Trinity Force podcast, so um, more likely the successes next week. So let's get into. We'll talk about ADC stuff first, since we already talked about that a little bit. Let's go through some of this. So basically, Freak released a video. Freak is no longer a caster. For those of you who haven't paid attention, Freak is now part of the game design team, so works on balancing and other things like that. Patch changes, part of the balance team. He is a full-fledged member of the balance team, and so he posted a YouTube video to, I guess, a video to his YouTube page, talking about a whole bunch of changes that are being shipped potentially to ADCs on patch 13.2, which would be next patch. It'll be showing up on PBE. Probably by the time you've listened to this, it's already on PBE, with some mana scaling increases, mana regen increases, and some mana cost changes all around mana for ADC roles. And so Ashe, Caitlyn, Ezreal, Jhin, Jinx, Kaisa, Lucian, Misfortune, Senna, Sivir, Twitch, and Xayah are all getting mana changes. Some of them are base mana, some mana scaling, some specific mana cost decreases on spells, and some of it's mana regen and growth such. So basically, he went through and it was like a 25-minute video. It was really good to see the transparency and talked about the reason for these changes. And so Freak cited saying that when you talk to ADC players, and he would know as an ADC player as well, the role doesn't feel, obviously the role has winning characters, has winning champions, because there are champions with positive win rates, but it feels very unfulfilling. It feels that there are champions that can basically just ignore ADCs. We're talking about some of these mega tanks that don't have to worry about it. And then also sometimes in bot lane now, with changes to mana that have happened over the last year or so, with biscuits getting nerfed and other things like that, and then corrupting potion, refill potion, those things getting nerfed, that a lot of them are able to do 1 or 2 spell rotations and then being pretty out of mana, which you need to actually lane. So in order to combat some of these anti-fun things that are happening, these all of them are getting buffed collectively, so that the class changes, but champions barely change relative to one another, is kind of what he was going at. So John, you're the one that shared that video with me. Why don't you talk a bit about it? Also, from you're an ADC player, and neither of us are. Why don't you talk a bit about that, man?
Yeah, so I mean, it was like, I mean, first of all, just like super cool to hear like all that. I thought that was interesting. Like, I mean, ADC, I was, really close, I guess, in terms of like how much I've played each role. Um, I really liked ADC, but I mean, I definitely can agree with that. Like in specific cases, especially, I guess, like where it felt like very bad as far as just having very high mana costs. And also, I guess another thing he touched on was playing as those champions, like for example, like Jen or any other champion that has like really high mana costs and is very like spell dependent, like Jin. Um, it feels like you're like defaulted to go presence of mind like every single game. So like I guess having the option to go one of the other two is like something that's nice, and I think like opens up just like interesting gameplay for ADCs, and also like in terms of the changes, like I guess speaking to like different options, like Overheal is getting buffed as far as the shield value, so it's going from 10 plus 9% max HP to 2 to 300 based on level, which I think is a great way to do it and to have it like be scaling like that. So it doesn't feel like insanely strong, I guess, when you're with like, it'll still feel strong with those characters where, shielding is, core part of their kit, but it won't be like oppressively strong early, I guess. I think that's a good way to balance it, have it be scaling like that off of the champion level.
And that just to chime in real quick, whenever I do play ADCs, I hardly ever take overheal before this change. I hardly ever do, just because it feels so negligible because on none of them are you building max HP. I mean, okay, maybe there's like a rare circumstance where you build a health item, but the shield felt absolutely negligible. Uh, that it just never felt worth it to me. And maybe I'm wrong there, but this now feels that it could be a lot better to take on in the situations where you would want to take it.
Yeah, I definitely, and also just like I think it's yeah, you're not just like defaulting to I don't know. I feel like almost every ADC you should always go, except for in a few cases, you go presence of mind, like just because of how good it is and how mana like you just have mana problems with ADC. I think in general, like as Jin, I definitely feel that way. Lucian,
Zaya to me,
Caitlyn, Zaya, yeah, all these characters that are getting uh changes to their mana as well. I mean, Ezreal early before you get tier, you get it stacked a little bit. Jinx even like if you it felt real, and I think that's like part of it. Like I mean, if you're missing a bunch of W's, like yeah, that's but I don't know. Some of the stuff did like feel like they had high mana costs, and I guess relative to other like for example like they changed like mana regeneration on the support items like and I played a good bit of support recently, and like I feel like I never have mana problems as support, like ever, almost, with any champion, So it's like I don't know that felt really bad as ADC sometimes when it's you're playing against like an oppressive support that just basically has like infinite mana, and you're just if you miss your rotations, like you lose like pariah instantly, So that felt really bad. So I don't know. I like these changes, um, for sure. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Jin, Caitlyn, and Ezreal. So a little
I
bit
think
of
these
go ahead.
overheal changes are actually super good. So I just did the math, and on the current iteration with 10 plus 9% max HP, in order to get a 300 base shield, you need 3,200 max health on an 80 carry,
Yeah,
and you are not getting that
yeah, it's
amount of
not happening.
HP. And so I think just the flat healing for overheal, I think is super good. And I don't think any fighters or bruisers took overheal, right? They'll always take
Triumph.
triumph. Yeah, and so I don't think it would affect really anybody else with this change. I think it's just better overall for 80 carries. But yeah, I think it might be kind of strong, especially the longer range 80 carries who can get the shield more reliably. Um, but I think this is a really strong change for overheal.
The only
Yeah,
one that I can think that would be not an ADC that could really use this, would also build health would maybe be Kale. If you're going AP Kale, you might want to take this now potentially, but perhaps not. I don't know. Just kind of brainstorming there. But yeah, as you said, Bomo, it definitely feels like it's a class specific rune that hardly ever gets taken. I mean, you might take it on Yone, or some people might take it on Yasuo or something, but it's hardly as a jungler. I never take overheal. It doesn't even matter what champion I'm playing. I just don't take it. There's literally no reason to take it in the jungle, and you're not taking it as a support. So then it's down to those other three roles, and there's just not a lot of other champs that would prefer overheal over the other two.
yeah, and I guess like a good like closing like thing with this is like one like niche example that's like really good with it. I think would be like and we talked about this earlier was like Misfortune with her. I like to take it on Misfortune even like before this change sometimes whenever you would have like a healing or a shield support, so like Janna, Lulu, something like that, because um, one when you're with your W passive, like the movement speed, you get the first like burst and movement speed, and then you get the second bonus burst at the like second bit once you've been out of combat. It allows you to keep that passive with like if you have the overheal shield and like the extra shielding from whatever your support has, you can just keep the bonus move speed passive for a long time, and that's actually like very beneficial because it makes it. I mean, it's just free stats, right? Like it, like Misfortune with Swifties is already like really good at kiting. And then with that on top, where she's getting to keep like the full benefit of her passive in combat, or also like in a case where she's like taking minion aggro or something like that, she's still able to get like a kill or something, and then not lose her passive, so she can like chase down. But yeah, I think that's a pretty specific example, but like that's one where I really like to take it, and I'll definitely be excited to try it.
And on the same vein of Misfortune keeping her shield, another item that Misfortune often quite gets to keep her shield as well as actually deal damage is Bloodthirster, which is getting a couple changes. And Freak also went through this as well. But Bloodthirster is it's going to become 200 gold cheaper. The lifesteal is going down in 3% in compensation, but the shield is getting better. So overall, the balance team views it as a net buff despite the lifesteal going down. So the shield is going to go from 50 to 320 to 180 to 450. And he went into the video saying that the way that it's coded is actually, the now it's 180 is the same value levels 1 through 9, because they don't envision anyone getting Bloodthirster before level 9 or so. It's just not a first item that hardly anyone gets or should get. But after that, then it'll start to scale from 180 to 450. So then each level actually after that is a pretty appreciable value. So the combination between this Overheal and Bloodthirster would be, in the specific case of Misfortune, we keep her passive up a lot longer. So, yep. Anything else that we want to say about the ADC changes, John? Anything else you really want to talk about here?
Uh, I mean, yeah. So I guess the one last big thing with it was the changes to IE
Oh,
in the
right.
Ori blades. So this is, I feel like, pretty big. So the passive required crit chance is going from 60% to 40%, making it so that you can go IE second as AD carry and get full benefit out of the passive. Um, and then similarly, with Navori, they're doing it so that it goes to 40%, so you get the full benefit of the passive. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think that's really interesting because, like, I don't know, the Navori also felt like for AD carry, like, insanely niche. Like, it's already a very niche item, but like almost no AD carries build it unless you're like absolutely popping off and you have just an absurd amount of gold because it's an expensive item as well. Um, I mean, it's
What
along the
champions
lines of
even
IE.
really buy it? I've only seen, Tryndamere gets Navori, but not an ADC. I've seen the new Ezreal build, which is in fashion, get it.
I've seen I've seen a Kaisa build where it's Kraken, uh, Fan Dancer Navari, or yeah, or Collector Navari.
Lucian used to get it in the older
Yeah,
version of Navori, but he would still like to
exactly.
get it.
But yeah, so I guess uh, I mean, I guess that makes it a more viable buy for AD carries too, which I think is like always a good thing having more items that
Well,
are
yeah, because
open.
like you said, the required crit chance for the actual passive to go into effect was 60. Now it's 40. So before, you would never buy Navori before fourth item. Okay, maybe you would buy it third, but at that point, wouldn't you rather have IE for the raw damage and extra crit damage? Like in almost every case, you would. So then you're relegating Navori to being fourth, but instead of buying Navori, wouldn't it, buying a fourth item as an ADC, you might want to get some defense. You might be getting a GA, you might be getting a Death Stance, you might be getting a Maw or something else. You would maybe not be, or I mean, if they can spec into AP, you might be getting a Zanya's or something. So it very much felt like just because of when it had to be built, it was being outshined by other things that made more sense for in-game context, even though it sounds good on paper.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was just like the passive was just too like niche for like and too much gold to like for an AD carry to put that much resources in. Like unless you're a champion that's like spamming ability, like you were saying, like Lucian or like I mean even Kaisa, I feel like is like a newer user of this that I've seen, like which is really good for her Q because it does so much damage. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you had a build where you just go like Kraken, IE, Navori on Kaisa, that sounds pretty fun. I might try that.
Yeah. And then also just to cap that off, there's a change to Bork, which is related here, but will more than likely be affecting other people as well. It's nothing to melee users, but for range, the on hit damage is going from 8%. I think it's of current health to 9%, or maybe it's max health. I'm not sure. So,
Yeah.
um,
So yeah,
yeah,
that'll be definitely nice for Twitch.
Twitch, Kog'Maw, Kale with these new now AD Kale is better for Kale users than AP generally, for what I've seen. So we'll see about
I,
these.
I've been brainstorming while you guys were talking, so I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's kind of a new Yone build going around with people building Riftmaker on Yone.
Okay.
Okay.
It's it's
Okay.
it, it's into like super tanky team comps and like super tanky top laners, but essentially it's a bunch of on hit stuff. So I'm wondering with Riftmaker and like Navari Quick Blades when it goes down to 40%, you don't need crit because Yone and Yone gives like what double crit chance, right?
Both of them do.
Yeah, and so I was thinking it's like, huh, if I just build this, then I automatically have 40% crit, and the build is like,
Well, you get 50
uh,
because it's 2.5. They changed it to. So it's 50% you
oh,
have.
okay, okay, so then that's pretty good, for the at least for the crit chance. But yeah, there's like a build going around where it's you go Bork, Wits End, Riftmaker type of thing, and you just do a lot of on hit damage when you're Omni or when the Riftmaker is fully stacked in the amount of damage you do, and the Q hits are more than if you if you were to go shield bow IE for a Q hit proc. It's really weird.
What the fuck?
So, yeah, someone
Oh,
there's like
lame.
some weird math thing going around. People like showing like pictures of like one Q hit on a fully stacked Riftmaker does more damage than an IE like what is it shield bow build. And so I was gonna try it out, but now with this Navari change next patch, I might dabble, see what happens, and then I'll report back. But I'm kind of just brainstorming now of
Dude, it's
really
hilarious.
random builds. Yeah, and
It's
just
hilarious
spam
that you mentioned that.
W and E.
I saw like a build where it was a vein top build where you go rip maker. It's like the same thing you're talking. You just go all
Yeah.
on hit. Did the true damage hits so hard. That's like
Mhm.
I don't know. I can't remember how long it takes for you to because it's like the longer you're
It's
in combat,
three
the more
seconds.
3 seconds.
That's it.
What?
Yeah, I've been playing it on Swain. It's like you auto. It starts faster than a grasp proc does. It's 3 seconds.
That's insane. Okay, well, I need to try something with that. But yeah, you go Riftmaker and it's like Goonzoos and like all the stuff you were talking about, Bomo. But yeah, I mean, it's insane the amount of damage you get, like converted to true damage, and how much it does. I didn't realize that though, that it does more than Yopo IE. That's
I
just
didn't believe it
absolutely wild.
until they were showing like screenshots. I'm like, how is this even possible? And so yeah, that so
Maybe
I
I
don't know
should
how. Yeah.
maybe I should try that on when I play top lane on hit Nico then instead of going
Ooh, yeah.
Kraken Slayer. Although I prefer Gale Force because it's really funny to have your third hit ready and then a Nico
Yeah.
dash at you and then the enhanced auto. Maybe try that instead then.
Riftmaker Gnasher's Tooth
Nashor's is
could be the
cool.
move.
I like to go Nashor's and Bork on her first two items because you don't need any AD or anything. You're just working off that extra on hit and shit. Like I've gotten 5 daggers in a row and it works because you just need to auto fast.
The other thing I worry about, so the only thing I worry about with the changes is like, what does this mean for GP? And like, I guess you talked about Yon a little bit, and I guess like Yasuo similarly, like benefits from that. So I guess like the rush IE rush second is going to be even better on them, uh,
Yeah,
right? Like in theory, but and I guess for GP too. I mean, he can just straight up get like, I mean, he can do some wild stuff. I feel like now that credit.
yeah, and I wonder if Navori range or I wonder if it works. Never mind. That doesn't work at all. I was trying to think about because GP is melee, although his Q is considered range now as of like the beginning of last year. So would that work for I wonder, do items calculate based off of each abilities, whether it's melee or ranged, or is it the character? And I don't know. But what I was thinking about doesn't actually matter for this specific thing, so we can disregard that entire rambling train of thought there. So, okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see if these ADC updates are put in, but we also have other business to attend to, gents. So, if you've been living under a rock and have not seen that we're in a new season of League, then you haven't seen that there was a new cinematic and a couple of other videos afterwards that the Riot devs and other teams put out. One of them was about player behavior updates, one of them was about changes to the ranked system, another one was about mid-scope updates for champions and specifically what those are, and then one character was teased, some of the Nico changes were teased and such. So but that was about it. And the cinematic, collectively the community basically felt that it was garbage, to put it lightly. It was a
Yeah,
giant
sure.
it was a giant dumpster fire that didn't work all that well. Now I will say, I thought it looked pretty because it did look cool, just in terms of look, because you were flying around in an Unreal Engine generated map of Summoner's Rift, but the voice lines were all taken from characters already within the game, and the voice was just changed to be it sounded like a little girl almost that was reading it, and that was about it. There was literally nothing else that happened with it, and everyone collectively hated it. And then within a day or so, right, they tweeted out something to the effect of, "We realized that this wasn't very good, and we will be commenting, we'll be responding in a longer format as well as sharing additional details about plans for the upcoming season." In the coming days, so watch for that. And then about 2 days later, they posted another video on the official League of Legends page, and it's actually an 8-minute video, and we watched this before we started. So um I would recommend that everyone go and watch it. Yeah, when exactly did this come out? It came out January 13th, so 3 days ago from today, but a few days earlier than that, or like a while ago, depending on when you listen to this. But um in it, they admit readily that their cinematic was not very good. They commit to it, next season's cinematic being much better. They commit to trying to implement as many of the changes as the community wanted as they are feasible. Um, and then they talked about some other specific stuff. They've talked about how they have reformed the alternative game modes team, and some of the news that that team was completely disbanded isn't exactly true from what I was hearing. They didn't directly refute anyone saying that. They were just saying that they have a game modes team and they were actually playing a new game mode that will hopefully come out this summer, that they're not prepared to show screenshots or anything of because it's still in a pretty rough format. But that, improving events and new modes, because every event feels very cookie cutter and they recognize that everyone's kind of bored of it, meaning, buy the pass, play some games, get a key, get a skin, that model that's been going on for quite a while. They're going to try and change that and then add in trying to be more proactive and transparent with communication with the community. So having blog posts, having videos or other announcements, trying to make it less, more personal and more make everyone feel as though they've actually been heard, because they say that they are listening to feedback. And I think that all this train of events would lead us to believe so. So um, that's kind of what happened. And uh, I don't know. Before I share my thoughts on how everything went down and how this is all kind of felt like it's resolved, um, I know that both of you guys watched it. Boma, why don't you share your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, so for me, I like the aspect of like transparency. I think that's really good. I also understand kind of where they're coming from in terms of they lost a lot of like key devs, and you don't see that, right? Because you plan things out like pretty far in advance, so you have everything set up. I will say that a lot of the events were pretty much just copy and pasted from previous events. So there's really no uh, how do I say this? The events don't feel like events. It just feels like a way for us to not feel bad about grinding specific things, right? So it's the events should have like really cool skins that you would want, but for me personally, like I think how many events did we have last year? Like 4, 5,
Four
somewhere
or
along there.
five, yeah, and one of them was the Void event, which wasn't even an
Yeah.
event. It was just here's a
No.
Belveth video and that's it.
hmm And so for me personally, I don't like a lot of the skins. So I just I just play the event and just get whatever loot orbs I can do, and just hopefully I can reroll for stuff, because a lot of the skin cosmetic tied to events, um, and like the different chromas you can get aren't that great. Um, I don't know how you would actually fix that though. Because you can just buy the skin and you're pretty much just playing for the chromas at that point, or they have that one legendary skin right all the time for like 2,000 tokens that you can get. But
Yeah, it's a
I have, yeah.
prestige skin that they always have for it, and I've gotten it only twice when I bought the Worlds ones. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with all these tokens? Okay, I'll get the skin.
Yeah. And so that's where I was at. It's like, well, I don't play this champion. This skin doesn't look that great. So I'll just get loot, I guess. And none of the mythic skins are even that appealing to me. So it's not even worth it to try to go for the 2,200 token marker to get mythic essence. So it just seems like it's a way for Riot to just say that they're giving us quote unquote cheaper alternatives to get free. I say free, but it's not really free. Free stuff. Um, and I do think that needs a revamp. But I think transparency. Well, speaking on the point, I think transparency is pretty important in terms of letting us know beforehand. A lot of times we don't even know an event dropped until the day of, right? So patch notes drops. Oh, by the way, there's an event for X, whatever skin line, and it's really inconsistent. So we had the winter blessed event, right? That just ended. Now we're in the what is this event called? The
Probably
Lunar
season.
Revel.
Oh, Lunar Revel
The
started.
Lunar
Okay,
Revel,
cool.
yeah. So now it's the Lunar Revel event, and it's just like it just
The
seems like
same.
they're like, yeah, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Um, and there's really no point to buying these really unless you want the prestige skin. But some of them aren't that great. They look pretty bad. Um, and so yeah, I think that's where I stand. I have my own opinions about game modes. I personally don't have a lot of time to play a bunch of game modes. And so with the time I do have, I'll be just end up playing regular Summoner's Rift, and I don't really mind that there's no game modes, but I do understand people who want some variety and other fun things. I know TFT was the original game mode, and then all of a sudden it became its own game. And so they were saying that all the devs who were on the rotating game modes were on now the TFT team, and they're developing that. So they're trying to backfill everything. So we'll see how long it takes them, but I think in general for me, um, this video was good. I wish they had released the video like half a year prior to say like just letting you guys know like it's gonna be a little rough, and 2023 is gonna be like a what they call it a
Rebuilding
year for
year or
rebuilding.
something.
Yeah.
I
And
I
like none of us knew, right? Until they released this video. Oh, this year's a rebuilding video. Okay, well, I mean rebuilding year. So I wish like they released it sooner, and like then people they could get angry, but at least we'll be more understanding, right?
Yeah, and the rebuilding they talked about was some of what you're talking about, backfilling staff, but they also said something about that I had no idea. They're trying to invest in more server infrastructure and other stuff in Southeast Asia, which I wasn't aware was a problem, and so they brought up that. But I think a point that they could have added an extra 30 seconds or so, and maybe some people care, maybe some don't, but in January of 2022, with the finishing or getting closer to being finished with their class action lawsuit they settled, they offered any staff that didn't want to stay on a quarter of their salary to leave. I think that was the number, and something like 2,700 staff members all took it and immediately left. So if you have, I don't know how many people, I don't know the staff number of Riot, but I can't imagine it's enough where if you have that many people leave across the entire organization, not just, that's not all working on League, some of that's going to be in communications, some of it's going to, I mean, it'll be across the board of the whole company. But if you lose 2,700 staff members just like boom in 1 month, you're gonna have some like what you, the capacity of what you're able to put out is going to drop. And I don't think I know that they don't want to dwell on things that have been negative, but um, that's at least worth mentioning and saying that was a necessary part of the organization's change if that's what they believe. But then to communicate that to players and saying, in an era where there is staffing shortages, at least in the U.S., and I'm sure that that's the case in a lot of other countries, and that there has been recent mass staff not quitting, but and it's not layoffs, it's something in between, then your players are going to feel a decrease in potentially quality, but also quantity in what is put out. And if they come up front with that, some people are going to generally feel, okay, we understand, you know, shit happens. Thank you for telling us about it, as opposed to just having a year where nothing felt like it was changing. And then all these YouTube videos saying, like, League is dying, League is ending, and they're taking all the profits to build other stuff, which I don't necessarily disagree with some of what was said. And we'll see if they actually deliver on any of this. But yeah, I agree with basically everything you were saying, Bomo. Although I do take the time away from Rank to play other game modes. I love that. My favorite game mode that they've ever put out is not Normals, it's Ascension. I fucking loved Ascension when that was out. That hasn't been out in so many years. But um, I mean, it is a loss leader of a product, which just means that it's something that doesn't make them a lot of money, but keeps people playing into the game, and then they will be able, and that will generate revenue in other places. It's yeah, it's a term in economics, which I mean you hear on like Shark Tank and stuff like that. People talk about that sometimes too, but um, yeah, I think that it was overall a good video, at least in what it was saying and who they had speaking to it. Not just some random devs; they had people who were decently high up as well, and yeah, hopefully this they deliver on what they're promising and trying to accomplish. Yeah, John, what do you think of the whole thing?
Yeah, I guess to like, I agree with a lot of what you and Bomo said. I mean, I guess first of all, like as far as game modes, like that's like a really exciting thing to hear because I definitely think that um that was lacking and for um understandably for the reasons you were talking about, Eric. But uh but yeah. I mean I guess one thing I was very appreciative of was the I guess just transparency and like responding to uh some of the stuff that people were saying and I guess like one of their messages was to try to that they're going to be more transparent and I guess communicative and on a more consistent basis, which I think is a good thing because I feel like one thing that can be kind of frustrating, like as a player, is when something like just comes out and it's just insanely strong for a while, and it just like you don't feel. I think more than anything, players just like want to feel like they've been heard. And I think that's a good step in the right direction as far as um, putting more resources into being more, I guess, just opening up more communication uh, with players and just like within the organization internally to try to figure out those problems and like employ the help of like the community who's playing the game too. So anything where it's they're being more transparent on a consistent basis and opening up more communication, I think it's a good thing. But I mean, I agree with what both y'all said about the cinematic. I mean, in my opinion, like to echo what both y'all said, it seemed very cookie cutter, like pretty general, pretty lackluster overall. But like Eric was saying, like I understand like some of it was for reasons outside of their control. So like I mean, I can't really be too upset about that. Um, but yeah, I guess just the commitment overall to take a step in the right direction in terms of like hearing out some of the things that the community wants. Um, and I guess just more so meeting their expectations in terms of what people want in a new season. I guess at this point, right? So like, um, yeah, I mean, but I don't know. So far, I think that that was a definitely for sure um, a good video for them to release and kind of just be open about that. And I think the more transparent they are about that, like going forward, like the more understanding that the community and just players overall will be. Um, so yeah, I mean overall, I think that it was a good thing, um, and I'm excited to just see what it has going forward.
Yeah. Just to speak to some of the game modes, they real quick they have I looked up the featured game modes because that they had the game mode rotating game modes and different game modes that were featured, and um, I remember almost all of these, some of which I liked more than others. But I mean, in 2014 alone, there was 7 featured game modes. So I mean, a while ago, but that's how many they used to put out. I mean, here's the full list of game modes: Ascension, Black Market Brawlers, Dark Star Singularity. That was the Thresh one. Definitely not Dominion. The Doombots. They've had 2 versions of that come out. Hexakill. That was amazing. Hunt of the Blood Moon. Invasion, which was the Star Guardian single player, or not single player, that was PvE Star Guardian, Legend of the Poro King, Nemesis Draft, Nexus Blitz, Nexus Siege, which did horribly, Odyssey Extraction, so that was the Odyssey one, One for All, which keeps coming back, Overcharge, Snowdown Showdown, Earth, and then Ultimate Spellbook. And so some of these we'll probably see coming back. I mean, Earth will continue to come back. Um, People really like One for All. It's not my favorite very much, but people do seem to like that one quite a lot, so we'll continue to see that. Ultimate Spellbook is pretty fun, and people seem to like that one, so that will come back. The single player ones themselves will not return, I'm sure. Invasion and Odyssey Extraction. Overcharge, I didn't like very much. It was very narrow and kind of weird. Do you guys remember that one? No. So that was you
No, I
played
don't.
you had there was a limited number of champions you could play as, but it was like the map was split in two and there were some teleporters and basically you had to kill other champions while also killing these little like bots that had headlamps that were going around, and once you killed them, you would once you killed enough, it was a 3v3 mode. Once your team killed, a few of them, then your characters would all become invulnerable for like 20 seconds, and then empowered, and you go and try and hunt the other players, and then they try to run away and not die. And you get extra points for killing them while you're in that mode. So there was that one, which was interesting. Nexus Siege flopped. I don't know how many people like that. Nexus Blitz, though, John, you were talking about how you really want Nexus Blitz back earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's I'm excited for that. Like Nexus Blitz is my favorite one, and then I really like Ultimate Spellbook a lot too.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
both of those are so much fun. But uh,
Did you ever
but yeah,
play? Did you ever play Hunt of the Blood Moon? You might have started after that game mode.
I did not.
Bomo, do you remember? Have you ever played Hunt of the Blood Moon?
That was the one with all the assassins, right? And then
Yeah.
the the map had like a weird fog,
Yeah,
and
it
then
had the
you
red
had like
fog.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
that sounds fun.
So yeah, it was you could
What?
only pick characters that were classified as assassins.
What? That's
Um,
amazing.
and yeah, everyone starts at level. I mean, here's the reading of it. It's hosted in conjunction with the Blood Moon Festival event. There were 2 teams of assassins, um, sacrificing the opposition in an attempt to secure the Blood Moon's blessing. The team. What? Okay, a little bit of a champ pool. Everyone starts at level 3 and will be affected by Blood Pact, granting 50% CDR on item actives and summoner spells. Additionally, while out of combat, it grants increased move speed. We're talking like 2 to 3 times the effect of Mobies. You moved really fast and
Oh
increased
my
mana
god.
regen as I think all ults were half as cooldown or maybe 60% cooldown.
Was there a
Um,
bunch of bushes?
There were not any bushes added, but the whole map was kind of a
Oh,
red fog, so you had a little bit of a more limited vision. Not a ton, but killing first to 350 points wins. Killing a champion gives 5 points. Killing these spirits, it was little Callista drones that would go around the map, give 3 points. And they passively spawn in both teams' jungles. There were demon heralds, so like smaller rift heralds that would spawn in the dragon and baron pits, and killing one of those granted 25. Um, Killing 3 enemy champions or spirits without returning to base or dying will grant the Demon Brand buff, which, after being out of combat for 4 seconds, restores 100% max health, grants invisibility, increased move speed, and enhances your next attack to 20% of the first target's max health as bonus true damage, which lasted for 45 seconds. So you could choose your target until your next basic attack or ability. And then once your team also killed 5 of those little Callista spirits collectively, everyone would get this buff. Everyone on your team, and then you would all go invisible and be able to use it. So it was wild. They also removed any non like heavy damage items. So you couldn't be building your gargoyle stone plates, your sunfire capes, your thorn mails. Nope, no defensive items. There was no Zanyas. There was no. I don't know. I don't even think GA was in the game. It was like offensive items only. It was an offense thing. It was wild to play.
that sounds so
And
fun.
some characters who were not assassins were also in. Like Katarina's not an assassin, but she was in. Um, I don't know. It was really 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 fucking fun to play. Yeah, so stuff like that they don't have anymore. A lot of people like the Thresh game mode that the Darkstar Singularity as well. Which if you don't know what that is, go look up a video of it. It was wild. I was not a fan very much, but um, yeah, and Hexakill. I really want Hexakill back. That was 6v6 Summoner's Rift. 6v6. Oof. But yeah. So we'll see what game modes they come back with. The one that they teased in the video, which I would everyone go watch that video if you want to feel a little bit better about Riot's development team. But they teased it was a 4 teams of 2 playing a bunch of like team versus team deathmatch style like rounds. In between the rounds, you're healing and getting items and leveling up by killing minions or something else. They didn't really speak too much about it, but they
That
said,
Call of Duty League of Legends.
yeah, in a way. They said they plan to release some concept art and explain more about it in March if development goes as planned, and then hopefully it comes out sometime this summer. That's the roadmap that they laid out. That's not what we laid out, and hopefully that will come through. But
I
yeah,
think they had to change the map for that, right?
they probably are just going to use one of the other maps or have altered maps. I think they could
Mhm.
use Magma Chamber for it, or they've edited the maps before with like Nexus Siege. Only it had a half the map, not
Did you
Nexus
guys
Blitz.
play a lot of like Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2?
Dude,
N-
yeah, those were growing up Warcraft 3 and then like Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne was my
Yeah.
favorite game, dude. I
So
played
there are
so
a
much
couple
Warcraft.
custom games where they had like 2v2, v2, v2 types of maps. And it's literally a square map. So I'm picturing like a square Summoner's Rift, and each corner is a base. And you have 3 lanes essentially, but each lane goes to a different team. I don't know how it's gonna work with 2 champions if you sack one or what happens, but there's literally an avenue to each team, and so you can decide how you want to fight. But I wouldn't. I wonder if that's the sort of route they're gonna go with the 2v2v2 map. I don't. I think they'll have to make like a new type of map, or they can do like a what is it? Like a Howling Abyss map, but just make it a giant X. I think that'd be pretty fun too. Just kind of like a free for all type brawl
There was
in the
a
middle of the map.
there was like one of my favorites, like custom Warcraft 3 one, like map things like that. It was like a 3v3 thing or like a 2v2v2 thing, but except it was like almost like on a big island. So essentially it had like it was like a big circle, and then in each like point there was around the circle there was like a team, but then they all had like a way to feed into this large area in the middle that was like all NPC stuff that had like camps that you had to kill that you could like get levels from to access like a different shop or like something like that to get different items or units and stuff. And then there was like one where you had to like fight like a dragon to get to this like point that gave you a bunch of like health and mana regen or like stuff like that. Did you ever play anything like that?
I don't think I did, but I think they're gonna have to do some sort of like map similar to those game modes for the 2v2v2 because I can't really picture it working on what we currently have right now.
They could
So we'll have to see.
repurpose Dominion assets, is what I'm thinking
Maybe,
they
yeah.
probably do.
But I feel like Ascension was also played on Dominion, right?
Yeah, it was. That was that was
So
so fun.
didn't they say last year though that they couldn't bring Dominion or Ascension because of they didn't have any of the updated texture models?
Oh,
So
is that
remember
what it
Riot did?
was?
I think so. Like season 4, season 5, they redid all the texturing, and they didn't do it for Ascension or Dominion. So maybe they actually did it though, and they're releasing it for this mode. That'd be pretty hype too.
I thought they did
Like that round map.
because I'm looking up Ascension and it says Ascension was released in September 2014, but then it was added to the rotating game modes on April 8th of 2016. And I thought the map texturing happened season 5 Worlds, which was before that, was on the new map. I thought it was between seasons 4 and 5 that they had all those updated textures. So I don't know if that's correct. I do remember an older version of Ascension and then a newer version, which with the retexturing. So I guess I'm
Hmm.
imagining it. So I'm 90% sure, but
Maybe
yeah.
I just didn't play it, but I only picture the old
Mm.
Dominion map, and I can't picture the new Ascension. So maybe they did. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, it was. So for John and people who don't know, this is my favorite one. I'll read through it real quick. So Ascension, it's like first to 200 points, and so you so a sandstorm rages around the map and it significantly reduces vision. It is not possible to leave the fountain on foot. You must step onto a teleporter pad and then choose which of the two places you want it to teleport to. And then each team has the nearest center and ports, blah, blah, blah. Players can't buy new items until they die and respawn again, just like ARAM. The outer circle, it's like an outer circle and an inner area. The outer circle is not open, so it was just the inner area. Players begin at level 3 with 1300 gold and 56 per 10 seconds, whatever. At the center of a map resides a giant Zareth as an ancient ascended stationary neutral monster. Killing him bestows the ascension buff. So if you attacked him, he would attack everyone around, but if you didn't attack him, he would just kind of float there, which significantly empowers its bearers. Champions can only ascend by killing the monster and not by killing another ascended. So whoever actually delivers the killing blow on the ascended on the ascended Zareth becomes ascended themselves until they get killed, and everyone sees them regardless of if they're in fog of war. They also um, let's see what after. Let's see. It was all incoming and healing effects are reduced by 50%. They're always visible, and they have health costs reduced by 50%, mana and energy costs reduced by 100. So free spells, 15% armor and MR penetration, a whole bunch of flat health and AD and AP, and 25% CDR, which would be like I want to say that's like 50 ability haste right now, just all of a sudden given to him at once. And then it was first to 200 points wins. Killing an enemy champion gives 1. If the killer is an ascended, 2 points are earned. Claiming a relic, it was like a little health thing you right click on for a couple seconds. It gets you 3 points. Killing someone who is ascended gives you 5, and then killing the actual Zareth also gives 5 points. So it was very much do some stuff around the center, around the edge, and then get the ascended, and then kill people and that sort. It was fucking wild. It was so much fun. So yeah, but
Yeah, I'm all for new modes for sure.
I
I'm
will
glad
find a
to hear
good
that.
ascension link and send it to you as well. But yeah, that was basically their video. So go ahead and check it out, everyone. You can find it directly on the League of Legends official Twitter account, as well as probably a couple of other places as well. So go check that out. But anything else that we want to say regarding all this debacle and then their response? I think we kind of covered our thoughts, but doors open if anyone wants to share anything else.
I don't have anything else. I thought we covered everything pretty well.
Okay. Well, let's wrap this up then. So next week we'll be covering the 13.2 changes that'll be coming out, assuming that it comes out next week, which I believe it should. And we'll also see how many of these ADC changes made it in. Additionally, we have a question of the week, so please go and answer that. So the question is, do you like the new ranked system changes? Yes or no, and why? And so those are, just to recall, the promotion series being shortened to 3 games and 2 splits, and as opposed to just 1 split, a couple other changes in there as well. So check out those. Or go ahead and answer that if you would be so kind. And yeah, we have community game nights on Tuesdays starting at 7:15 Eastern. I will not be in the one tomorrow. I have to go pick up my dog from my girlfriend's parents' house because they were watching the dog while we were away. But it will still go on. And yeah, go ahead and check out our Patreon. We have some cool benefits there for you to go sign up for. If you have any feedback for us, please send any emails to questions@trinityforcepodcast.com or drop it in the feedback subthread of our Discord, which I regularly monitor. And whenever I accidentally fuck up on editing or something else happens, people let me know, which is good, and that's what that's there for. So send us any feedback that you have there. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
I